Hello, my name is Pauline Gagnon. I'm a physicist. Right now I'm a retired physicist, but I used to work in particle physics, and my work was to try to discover what were the fundamental building blocks of matter. So what were the smallest particles of matter that we can find in the world. That was very, very exciting. Got me to travel a lot. I lived in the Geneva area. I lived in France, in fact, but I was working in Switzerland for an American university, but I'm myself French-Canadian. So it was really a nice experience to be at CERN. CERN is the European Laboratory for Particle Physics, and it brings together 13,000 physicists from all over the world. So it was really a diverse crowd, and it was quite stimulating to be working there. And I got the chance to participate in the discovery of the Higgs boson, the latest particle that we discovered. So it was all fun. But it was also not also easy, because I was an out lesbian, and I never felt that I had to hide that, because before I was in a very supportive environment and it was not an issue. But when I came to CERN, CERN was a rather conservative environment, and people were not quite open-minded, and it didn't fly, but I did not know what was wrong. But for the longest time, I was facing all sorts of difficulties without knowing where they came from. My work, I did excellent work. I was often the first one to do something, or faster than the others, and better than others. But I never got anywhere. I wouldn't get promotions. In my group, they would not support me to send me to conferences and all that. It was really difficult, and I kept questioning myself, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with me? And it took me a lot of time, and it's only about 2 years ago, when I was preparing for a talk that I was going to give at the iScientist in 2018, that I was looking at a report from a study that was done on LGBTQ physicists. And I noticed there that the most common thing that people have experienced is isolation, that you're put aside. People don't want to work with you. You're always alone to do your work. At CERN, it's a habit that everybody eats together at lunchtime, and I was always alone. And it was so painful, and I tried so much to break this isolation. My girlfriend was she was supportive. She was also a strong feminist, so am I. And it really helped to keep in mind that, some feminist ideas, and not to let, as they say in English, not to let the turkeys get me down. It took me a lot of time to realize that, in fact, isolation is something that a lot of lesbian physicists, lesbian scientists experience, that way more than gay men, in fact, women, we have this double strikes against us. We're women in a male-dominated area, and we're lesbians. And so when I read this report, it just dawned on me what had happened to me, all this isolation from which I suffered so much. And I just started crying, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop crying. And then my girlfriend came later on, and I explained to her what I had just discovered. And I knew I was hitting the glass ceiling. I knew I was not given all the opportunities that I was, but I always felt that there was something that I was not doing right. And it's only now that I'm retired and all that, and looking back at it, because I wanted to put my experience in some context and looking at some other studies and all that, that I realized that this is something that was really, really painful to go through my career. And I hope that for women, things are getting better. For gays and lesbians also, transsexuals are probably, transgender people are probably the people who are now the most suffering. And it takes time for things to change, and people don't accept people who are different from them. For example, at CERN, I told you, there are 13,000 physicists working there. We're coming from more than 100 different countries. But despite that, it's still 80% men and 80% white people. So we still don't have much diversity. And Diversity is such a key element in science. Having diverse approaches is what will bring new solutions to a problem, and it's so important. So if you feel that you're rejected and you don't quite understand why, well, stop blaming yourself. Just remember that it has nothing to do with you. It's just their own difficulties. And so the best advice I can give to people is to fight the isolation by making sure that the people around you I started with other women at CERN. I started a women's group in our experiment. It was an experiment with 3,000 people, and so there were lots of women. About today, it's about 20% women. So and then we could exchange with women and all that. But later on, there was a LGBTQT group at CERN, and that was really nice because there were other gays and lesbian and transsexuals, transgender people, and we could exchange and feel normal, and it was quite nice. So in those groups, either in the women's group or the LGBT group, what was good was that we could feel accepted. And so I think the way to go is to make sure that the people around us don't see us as a threat, but that we turn them into allies. So many men today, especially the young people, they're way more open-minded, but often they lack a bit of information on different people. You know, if you only study during your studies, if you only work with other white men, then you don't know about black people, you don't know about Asian people. So it's important to find allies among people who are members of the majority group to support minority groups. When you have peer groups like women's group or LGBTQ groups, that's what you get. But we should try to have that from the people around us to make sure that when there is a sexist joke or homophobic joke or a racist joke, it's not the black person or the lesbian who is going to tell them that this is unacceptable, but a white straight man will tell them, no, it's not funny. We don't find it. So, you have to get more allied. I think this will help change the group. I think what is also very important is to have information for large groups in conferences, talks by members of minority groups to explain what our situation is and the differences, and that we're the same, in fact, and we all just want to know what matter is made of, or things like that. And we're all passionate scientists, and we just want to contribute. So my best advice to you would be not to stay isolated. And unfortunately, I understood that a bit too late, but still, science was a great experience despite all that, but would have been so much better and much less painful for me if I had felt more accepted. Good luck to all of you, and I wish you a lot of fun too.